You are sitting across from the leader of the country your whole career has been arranged around. His name is Mikhail Gorbachev. Yours is Ronald Reagan, and it is October 1986. Between the two of you sits almost every nuclear weapon that exists, 70,000 of them. The most there will ever be. And the offer on the table is all of his. Not a freeze, not a reduction. All of them, gone inside 10 years. You met him once before, in Geneva, a year ago. Nothing was signed. 2 days here now, and nobody expected anything from the weekend. It starts with the missiles pointed at Europe, the ones with almost no flight time. Minutes, not the half hour you'd get from something crossing an ocean. All withdrawn. Your people expected to spend years arguing about those alone. Then it goes further. Cut the long-range arsenals in half, both sides. Inside 5 years, then further still, 10 years, and every ballistic missile either country owns is gone. You think for a second, and you ask, all of them? Not just the missiles? The bombs as well? The battlefield weapons? The things sitting on the submarines? A pause. Then Gorbachev says, we could say that. List all those weapons. You look over at George Shultz, your Secretary of State, and Shultz says, then let's do it. Nobody in this room is joking. Your people and his have been up most of the night writing, and by this morning most of it was already agreed. In 2 days, you have gone from a weekend nobody expected anything from to the end of nuclear weapons, in a borrowed house, before dinner. So why? Why now? Why is the man at the top of the system that built these things suddenly trying to give every one of them away? 6 months ago, a reactor tore itself open in the north of Ukraine. The news reached him slowly, incompletely, and late. His own scientists sent readings that were wrong. 2 days passed before Soviet television told the country about the worst nuclear accident in history. It took 20 seconds.
Произошла авария на Чернобыльской атомной электростанции. Поврежден один из реакторов. Принимаются меры по ликвидации последствий аварии. Пострадавшим оказывается помощь. Создана правительственная комиссия.
Tens of thousands of nuclear weapons answer to Gorbachev. And Chernobyl has just taught him that nobody was in control of a single one of them. Not him, not his generals, not the men standing at the dials. Years later, he wrote that it opened his eyes like nothing else. He meant it, which leaves one thing standing between this room and a world with no nuclear weapons in it. Whatever he wants in return. It isn't money, and it isn't territory. It's one word. You are building a shield. Satellites and lasers, catching missiles in the sky before they ever come down. If it works, nuclear weapons quietly stop being useful. Obsolete, like cavalry. You announced it in March 1983, and you called it the Strategic Defense Initiative. A senator got up the next morning and named it after a film about laser battles in space, and Star Wars is what the world has called it ever since. 7 months after that, you sat down at Camp David and watched a television film called The Day After. It takes one ordinary town in Kansas, drops a nuclear war on top of it, and then stays in the ruins while they die. You wrote in your diary that night that it was very effective and that it left you greatly depressed. In 1979, before you were ever president, they took you inside a mountain in Colorado where the military watches the sky for incoming missiles. You asked them what would happen if a Soviet missile were aimed at the mountain you were standing in. They told you they would track it all the way down and that there was nothing whatsoever they could do to stop it. You left saying there had to be something better than that. So did a television film frighten a president into building a shield in space? No. The mountain was 4 years before the film, and you announced the shield in between. It isn't the cause. It's the clearest picture anyone ever put in front of you of the thing you were already afraid of. Nothing gets canceled. The research continues. The money continues. The Strategic Defense Initiative survives intact. The condition is this. For 10 years, the testing stays in the laboratory. Don't put it up in the sky yet. Give him that. And every nuclear weapon on Earth comes off the board, which makes no sense until you hear his side of it. So why would anyone be frightened of a defensive weapon? Because for 40 years, the only thing that has stopped either country firing is the certainty that firing kills you too. You launch, he launches back, and both of you are gone inside the hour. Mutual annihilation, guaranteed for everybody, which is a horrifying thing to build a peace on and has worked every single day so far. A shield that covers one country and not the other doesn't cancel out nuclear weapons. It cancels out the other sides. If you can stop most of what comes back at you, then striking first stops being suicide. And the guarantee that has kept both of you alive quietly stops being a guarantee. He is not afraid of your shield failing. He is afraid of it working. You have an answer for that. You have offered to share it. Hand the whole thing over once it is built, so neither of you ends up covered while the other one is naked. He doesn't believe you, and given that neither of you has ever handed the other anything, that is not unreasonable of him. So it comes down to one word: laboratory. Keep the research, keep the money, keep the whole program, but for 10 years the testing happens indoors, which sounds like nothing until you are the one being asked, because you cannot build a shield for the whole sky and never once put it in the sky. He's not asking you to cancel it. He is asking you to agree, never to find out if it works. It is Sunday afternoon, and this far north in October the light is already going. Outside, your people are starting the cars. You try one last time. Could the word be softened? Could it be taken out altogether? Your people put 3 different versions of the sentence in front of his people. He will not move either. Your signature is all that's left. Do you sign? You could, but you don't. You have spent 3 years promising your country that the missiles could be stopped, and you will not be the man who breaks that promise. You slide a note across to Schultz. Am I wrong? Schultz writes back, no, you are right. And you will be asked for the rest of your life why you didn't simply agree and argue about the word later. The answer is that you meant it. You had told a country watching on television that you would put something over their heads, and you believe the shield is the only way out of an arithmetic where staying alive depends on promising to kill everybody. He's offering to take away the weapons. You are trying to take away the reason for them. 2 men, frightened of exactly the same thing, holding 2 different exits. Only one of them can be taken this afternoon. At 6:30, you close your briefing book and you stand up. And that is where the reconstruction stops. All of it happened. Everything you have just sat through is real. The offers. The refusal. The note. The word. All of it is in the transcripts. The only thing that wasn't real is that you had a choice. Because that afternoon happened before most of us were born. And the answer was given for us. Here is what the record says happened next. Outside, the cars were already running, and the photographers got the picture that went around the world. Reagan told him it was too bad they had to part this way, that they had been so close. And then, tired and angry and having just refused the largest thing he would ever be offered, he accused Gorbachev of never having wanted an agreement in the first place. Gorbachev did not let that stand. He had wanted one. He had done everything he could, if not more. And then Reagan said the truest sentence anybody said all weekend. He didn't know when they would ever have another chance like this. Gorbachev said he didn't either. 40 years on, neither of them has been proved wrong. Every newspaper called it a failure. Both governments called it a failure. And the honest answer is more annoying than that. 14 months later, in Washington, they signed something. It was the first agreement in history to abolish an entire class of nuclear weapon. Not cap it or count it. Abolish it. The missiles pointed at Europe, the ones with almost no flight time, were taken apart. 2,692 of them by 1991. And it happened because of that weekend, not despite it. The hard arguments had already been had in a cold house by 2 exhausted men who thought they had failed. That is the 40 years you have been living in. Nearly 60,000 weapons coming off that board, a few at a time, because of an afternoon everybody called a disaster. All of this happened, and the world you woke up in this morning is the one that afternoon left behind. Every agreement since, every warhead taken apart, every year the number went down instead of up. All of it runs back through a cold house in Iceland, and 2 men who could not agree on where a laser was allowed to be tested. So that is the board as they left it. What does it look like now? It is filling back up. But the headline total is still creeping down, only on paperwork. What comes off the board is retired weapons being taken apart, not new decisions being made. The pile that could actually be used is going back up. Every nuclear-armed state on Earth is spending money to modernize what it already has, which is a polite way of saying the direction of travel has reversed. Nobody will announce that. There is no broadcast. The number just goes the other way, and the only people who notice are the ones who were counting. Everything that has ever come off that board came off because 2 frightened men in a borrowed house said the quiet thing out loud. That the weapons could simply go. Not fewer, but gone. and nobody has said it since. Reagan got 2 days, a warm room, and a pen to decide whether these things should exist at all. The next person who has to decide anything about them probably won't get that. They'll get whoever is standing next to them, the light going, and the same handful of minutes a missile has always allowed. And that decision won't be whether the weapons should exist. It'll be whether to use them. You just won't be in the room.